All right, I did a video about the latest developments in the Ray Fisher versus Warner Brothers saga, and about his new accusations that racism was committed by the villains here, Joss Whedon. Well, not Joss Whedon. Well, yeah, Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns, John Berg, and added Toby Emmerich to the list of his rogues gallery. And this was in a Forbes interview, and then Forbes updated it to reflect Joss Whedon's attorney's statements in response to this, and they removed the quote here where Fisher accused Joss Whedon of racism in altering an actor's skin tone, and his attorneys responded to it, and well, they removed the quote there and added, I guess, the attorney's response and all of that. So Ray Fisher has now responded to this. So this is Bounding into Comics, and they give the whole a little quick summary of the whole event, what have you. And so Ray Fisher is, they heard what really was a tipping point for him, especially with everything in 2020's been. That this is the reason he's been coming out, was because he heard this story about Joss Whedon changing one of the actor's skin tones in the film. So this is, in a lot of ways, damning for Ray Fisher. That this is the reason he came out, which is problematic here because it didn't happen. And Ray himself was not personally aware of this. He says someone told him this, and especially since he could have just watched the film to see it wasn't true. And also the nature, the whole film's color scheme was changed. If you want to get to whatever was changed, in that, the from Zack Snyder's rather dark blue tones to the overly saturated and red tones that Joss Whedon brought to the Justice League theatrical cut. That was, that was the theatrical cut. So all of that, and then the lawyer responds to it, explaining that and all that stuff. So Forbes would update the article, removing this entire quote, Ray Fisher's quote. They would post an update to the article, writing, "This story has been updated from its original version, including the wording of the original headline. Comments have been added from Warner Brothers and representatives for Joss Whedon." So, page 6 report, the interview was changed in order to add balance and fairness to the story. So, Forbes Chief Communications Officer Matthew Hutchinson told page 6, "The contributor's story captured a discussion that has been in the public sphere for some time. The post was updated to add comments from Warner Bros. And Joss Whedon, and a quote was removed to add balance and fairness." Now, that aspect of it I don't really agree with, even though I firmly believe that the accusation is untrue. For the purposes for the article, you can leave it in there. You just add their response to it, and they're saying, "No, that's not true. This is what happened," and that's fair. To remove it is kind of like, well, it's not. And apparently, it goes down here that because Ray Fisher's response to this. It says, "My team and I have been in contact with Forbes regarding the unorthodox changes that were made to their October 29th article written by Shiraz Farouk, or is it Farouki? Anyway, Shiraz. Even more concerning is that Shiraz is now listed as a former contributor." So they fired this guy over there. He's right about that. If that's the case, they should not have fired him. He's just reporting what he was told, and then when you want to update it and add the other side's response to it, fine. But I don't get why Shiraz is in trouble. Other than, I guess you could say, well, he should have figured that out, that it was pretty obvious this wasn't true. Watch the film. And, and so it's just like Ray Fisher makes this accusation, which is, it's a serious accusation, saying, well, because of racism, they did this, with no evidence. He just says, well, I heard somebody say this. And the problem for Ray Fisher is that he points out that this is the reason he's speaking out, is because that story really set him off. And, when initially it sounded like he was responding to just what an a-hole Joss Whedon was on the set, which that in and of itself is fine, but then he wanted investigations and like some heinous crime was committed and all that sort of stuff. It's really rather bizarre. And upset that Jeff Johns still has projects at Warner's, none of which involve him. So it's like, this is a bit much, which is increasingly odd because you won, Ray. Snyder Cut will be seen. Your performance in there will be seen in its entirety, and apparently new stuff is being added to it. So this was all unnecessary. I mean, he's saying that he didn't get along with those guys. Fine, that's fine. Warner Brothers has a problem with that. Well, then it's their turn to suck it up. But this is ridiculous. And here you're engaging in falsehoods. This doesn't necessarily mean Ray's a liar in that aspect. It just means he's wrong, and he should have known better since he's going with, secondhand information, not information that he was personally involved in. He wasn't there in the editing room when they said, "Hey, this character's too dark." I don't like that. Let's try to make him look as white as possible. That's not what happened. And so it doesn't serve him well at all. And in this aspect, I think kind of torpedoes his whole thing here when he's saying, "This is what set my soul on fire and forced me to speak out." Joss Whedon was informed that he ordered the complexion of an actor of color be changed in post-production. So it's pretty bad. So, but in a roundabout way, he does have a point that I do agree. I don't, just on the face of this, I don't think it was fair for this writer to get canned apparently by Forbes. If that's the case, because I think they could have just added the update and said, "Fine, fair enough. This is the response of Whedon and his people and all that," and you can put that in there. And the only thing I suppose is that they could be upset was that, look, it's kind of obvious there's no truth to this. But at the same time, Shiraz himself is not stating that. He's stating this is what Ray Fisher believes, and Ray Fisher himself says, "This is what got me started." And there you go. So, and updating it with the response from the other side that people he's accusing is perfectly fine. But so I just don't think this writer should have been disciplined or anything with that, other than saying, "Hey, come on, it was obvious this wasn't true," or something. He could have stipulated, "Well, he doesn't offer any evidence," or something like that within the language of the article. I guess, something like that. But yeah, Ray, what are you doing? Because, look, in my opinion, for what it was, again, it's not the Cyborg from the comic books and the cartoon and all that. Yeah, I know. But within the context of the film, he did a very good job portraying that character. And I really do want to see what the full story was that he did. I can understand him being upset about it being cut, but hey, this all started after the Snyder Cut was announced. So he knew his performance would be out and he would get his justice on his performance. And then he starts this because apparently someone told him about the complexion being changed, and so he went off on a tear. And now but yet Ray, it's pretty obvious it isn't true. So I don't know, but he's full steam ahead, I guess. So now look, if his performance is so great and wonderful that he becomes a superstar as a result, it won't really matter, and Warner Brothers will have to suck it up and deal with this guy who's difficult to deal with, apparently. But that's the way that works. But it's going to have to really be an amazing performance for that to happen. So, yeah, it's just all very sad. Because, he's mad. He's really mad. It's too bad but this wasn't real. See, this is the Joss Whedon stuff. So, he looks so happy. But no. So it's really a kind of a sad story. It's all kind of terrible and a bit of a kind of a mystery, because he has been like saying, "I'm leaving things out to protect other people" and all that. But you've already admitted that it was this erroneous story that set you off. So whatever it is, you're upset about Joss Whedon being an a-hole in the set. Yeah, I'm sure he was, but that's not the reason for all of this. It really isn't. Anyway, there you go. There's Ray Fisher's response to his Forbes interview.
Alright, thank you for watching and listening, Slay. Why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.